Hi, I'm Rick Lobdell. Welcome to another episode of Concrete Mystique, the podcast. I want to thank Surfcoat for sponsoring the show. Go to surfcoat.com and check out all their great products. Follow me on all social media platforms. Today on the show, I have my friend Crystal Ploszay. All right, so good morning, Crystal.
Good morning, Rick.
How are you on this fine morning?
Oh, man, really good. It's beautiful here.
I know, we are in Temple, Georgia, at this beautiful property. We're here for the surprise birthday tonight.
I can't wait. I'm so proud of our whole industry for making this a secret. It's still a secret, and people have flown in from like all over the world practically. So
we are here for Bob Harris's 60th birthday party, which who knows when this recording will come out if it does, but this is when we're meeting. Having coffee in the morning, which is rare for me.
I don't ever drink coffee either. I like the cancer that comes in a can.
I've been drinking, so I have a lot of stomach problems. I don't know if I told you this before. I wrestled for 10 years and used to cut weight like you wouldn't believe, and used to do everything I could to just lose extreme amounts of weight or keep it down. I'd barely eat at all. So I fucked up my stomach so bad, like anorexic bad, that this is going to tear me apart this morning.
Oh, good thing you put a lot of creamer in it.
I know. And so then I used to drink Red Bull all the time, and that would make my stomach even worse.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't get the side effects of the coffee, like the dehydration and stuff too. So it was like a battle of like which is the worst evil. And I don't need any of it because I'm hyperactive anyway. But then I found Body Armor with caffeine boost. And it doesn't mess my stomach up at all.
Oh, nice. It's nice and gentle, huh?
And you're getting, like, you know, healthy stuff in it on top of that, too.
Yeah, the vitamins and hydration things.
Yeah, and potassium. Yeah. You know, I need a lot of potassium because I can't eat bananas. I'm definitely allergic to bananas.
Oh, yeah? Can you eat a pineapple?
Yeah, it has nothing to do with bananas.
Well, I mean, I thought it was related a little bit.
Like, maybe a plantain might be a problem, but I don't see how a pineapple follows it.
No, really, I think they're related somehow. Like, they're like genetic cousins or something.
I have never had a problem with a pineapple. Because I love pineapple on pizza.
I have problems with pineapples and bananas, but they only just make the roof of my mouth itchy. Nothing serious.
Yeah, no, it makes my throat go.
Yikes.
The first time we found out about it.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
Is Nicole, we figured out that Nicole tried to kill me for 2 years. Because,
your wife?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I was complaining about it. Like every time I would try to eat a banana, or we made a smoothie for me, or we would put it on pancakes. Like she was just, you know, making me act like I was being a wuss or something. And I was like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right every time. And then we're talking to my doctor, and he's like, hey, idiot, stop eating those. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, think about what you just said. You're having trouble swallowing after you eat a banana. Think about that. And I'm like, oh, you can be allergic to bananas? And yeah, that's how it all started. And then we had to look back and go, you've been trying to kill me for 2 years. Oh,
that's a fun story to tell guests. Oh, man. Did she feel bad after that, or is it just humor?
No, just humor.
Yeah.
So I have to get potassium any way I can. So, how did we first meet?
Is this a trick question? Like, you know and I don't know? Okay.
No, I have no idea. Actually, it's the exact opposite. Because
you were hoping I knew.
No, well, that, but also I know a lot of people that it took a while for me to start talking to them too.
Right.
So
no, I think we hit it off almost immediately.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure where though, or when.
It was at Decocrete, wasn't it?
Or why?
Was it at Decocrete? I think it was.
Yeah.
Did we meet once before Decocrete?
No, I think it was Decocrete.
I think that was the first time we officially met.
Lucky us.
Yeah, I know, because it's such a great time for these kind of moments, to be honest. You know, to get to know someone well, that's a great show.
Yeah, I love that show. It's my favorite one of the year. It's just so much more intimate than some of the other ones because of location. There's like no place else to go other than sit on top of each other all night.
You're stuck in Worcester and you got nothing else to do.
Yeah, the first time I went to Worcester, I like fangirled and took a picture in front of the paintbrush facility.
I remember that. We talked about that.
Yeah.
I took it for granted because I I lived in that area, so like I was like, well, yeah, of course it's there. I never even did that. Never.
It didn't even occur to me until I got there, and the hotel was right next to the Worcester paintbrush facility. I was like, oh my god, do you think they'll give me a tour?
It cracks me up too because I have a master's with a brush, and it never even occurred to me to like go in there and go, hey, you should see what I'm doing with your brushes or anything.
You could have had your face plastered all over the whole building.
There's a company called Golden Paints. I don't know if you ever used them.
I have.
And one year at Concrete Decor, they also had this whole full painting group as part of the show too, to kind of like help with the costs of the show or something probably. And so I got to see an entire industry of artists at the same time as an entire industry of decorative concrete, and in the same place. And Golden had a booth. And so I'm sitting there, I'm walking by the booths in the faux painting area, and I'm like, Golden has a booth? And I stood there talking to him. I was like, you don't understand. Artists don't get conventions. We don't go to convention. There is no convention for painting, for just art, just pure.
There's not?
The purity of art. No, there's not.
Huh.
There's festivals, and maybe they have booths there, and I don't go to.
Okay, yeah.
But no, there's no like industry.
Well, because then you would need an artist to organize all of that.
You know, and so I was like, I can't believe I get to meet my favorite paint. And I'm showing him pictures of my paintings.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I'm like, look, I'm supposed to be over there in this decorative concrete stuff, but I'm over here talking to you guys, showing my artwork off, and I was geeking out like you wouldn't
I think
believe.
we should have more of a mesh like that. Because actually what we do in decorative concrete, or what I do, is use things from all over the place. Don't tell anyone.
You do, no, but we talked about that before because you paint between your coats of epoxy. Mm-hmm. And I think that's strange from my point of view. That's extremely weird because we talked about this the first time we met about the light fastness of the acrylic paints, and I get worried about how well they hold up, but you've had no issues, have you?
I haven't. Maybe it's aging in a natural type of way.
When you do it outside, though, do you do it with polyaspartic outside?
I don't agree with that. I think that, like, if I have to, I guess, but I mean, the liability, it's too slippery.
It's all interior.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
that makes
polyaspartic
sense.
Does go yellow.
So you have
eventually.
less light fastness issues because you're doing it inside.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't
that makes me feel
compromise the technical installation aspect for the art.
But in a way, it's like almost watching like those videos where they have the little tiny bowl and they got the fish in it and it's in layers of epoxy. That's kind of almost what you're doing.
Sort of, but that would be super expensive on a floor. And if you put your epoxy on that thick and it cures and then curls itself up off the floor, then you're just opening up a whole can of worms. So I stay within the specs of the installed systems every time.
That's cool. How do you prep for all of those?
The same way everybody else does.
Just grind it all down.
Grind it all down. I usually use a shot blaster to de-dust because I'm putting a vapor barrier down on all of my projects.
Is that do you own the shot blaster?
I do. Yeah, I got one from Josh Jones over at the Prep Master.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a little 110 model, and I put it neck and neck with Sean Dennison's Blast Track on a 220, and it outperformed it.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It could have been some minor adjusting that needed to be happening or something. You know how sensitive those machines are.
Right. Well, the other reason I was asking too, I mean, that's cool that you use that all the time so that cornrows don't affect anything then.
Oh, no.
Because there's not a three-dimensional like dip, it's just an overlap.
Right.
Sometimes
once the vapor barrier goes down, I sand the rat shit out of that.
Okay.
Because I'm not ever really looking for a chemical recoat window. I do this mechanical, like if I hit the chemical, that's great. And but I'm doing artwork there and then putting the next coating on. So you have to mechanically prepare it first. Because then you do the artwork, so you're coming outside of your recoat window already.
Right.
So you have to sand it before the artwork. Otherwise, you'll sand the artwork on.
It's funny you say that because I've talked to, I can't tell you how many people I talk to all the time, and they're always like, can I do a touch-up? And I'm like, yeah, but you got to sand the whole floor. They're like, what do you mean? And I said, well, if you don't sand the floor first, once you do this, you're past the recoat window. How are you going to do the rest of it? And they don't. It's just right over their head to think about. Yeah. I've got to prep this all first. I say them over and over and over to them.
Yeah.
No, sand the whole floor first, then do what you need to do.
I've never put down epoxy without just planning on sanding it the next day.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, even that glass coat that goes on, I'm planning on sanding it the next day because I'm putting some kind of urethane and protective top coat on it.
Yeah, I even, with some epoxies, I don't even care if I wait 48 hours and then just sand it, just because sometimes they're too soft at 24 hours.
Yeah.
And I don't like how it heats it up and kind of melts it.
Yeah, and then gets all over your screens, and then you're like with the, 5-in-1 scraping them off.
So yeah, I kind of just wait. That's one of my big things too. Is
I'm okay.
And I
with
tell
waiting
everybody that too. Just wait 48 hours, because then you have to sand it anyway. So what's it matter?
It'll cut it better that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you use like a buffer, or do you use a square sander?
I use a buffer.
You ever tried a square sander?
They're really effective.
Yeah, that's what I use.
I just don't like the way they feel.
Really?
Yeah.
You like the buffer fighting the buffer all the time?
No, I don't fight it. I can get it, like I put it low on my hips and I can just move it around like that while I'm looking at Facebook.
A one-handed buffing master.
Yes.
Wow, that's crazy. I'm pretty good with the buffer, but I don't know about one-handed there. I don't know if I can handle that.
I don't know, magic hands, man.
But I like my square sander. That it gets you to the corners. Like, it's just so much more efficient. It's easier.
There we go knock down the doors of some pawn shops and see if I can find one.
So a lot of times Home Depot will sell their rentals after so many hours.
Our Home Depot just got a rental center.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lowe's is just now starting them, so I've started to pay attention to that. But we just bought one. I bought a brand new square scrub a couple years ago, but we just acquired a square sander from Home Depot, and it's fine. Huh. I'm going to use it next week, literally. And
in my head, I'm comparing the one time I used a square sander to the swing buffer, and I'm like, I did like it better.
Well, and I don't even pull the arm down like you're talking about and having it close to my hip anymore. I just leave it straight up and just walk around and act like
I feel like that was more
around.
Effective that way.
Yeah,
when I used that, I tried doing it the other way, and I'm like, what is happening? This is not okay.
Plus, you can see all the details, the edges. You're holding it and looking like this right around it the whole time. So go ahead.
I think maybe the buffer is just kind of more versatile. I mean, you put all kinds of things under there.
I know, but it heats up the epoxy too much. Like, here's my next question for you then. Okay, so you sand the floor and then you paint. How long between painting do you re-epoxy?
Oh, it doesn't matter to me, really.
How?
Because it's a water-based, air-drying paint, so like when it's dry.
Yeah, but doesn't it still have curing properties?
I usually walk around and hit it with a heat gun real quick. But I almost never do the artwork and the epoxy in the same day.
No. I'm talking the opposite. I'm asking the opposite of, like, do you ever go past 7 days before you epoxy it?
Not really.
Okay.
I paint really fast.
Well, no, it's not about the process of the paint as much as the timing and depending on the design too. But I did that once and I never thought about the fact that anything has a cure. Acrylic paint, doesn't matter what it is, has a cure. Like, I did a water-based stain once, and we took a week off because of a holiday, came back and kept working. And then when it was all said and done, it wasn't until I had coated it with 20 mils of epoxy and a coat of urethane that I was like, I wonder if it's even bonding to this.
Oh, right.
Because what's it bonding to anymore is cured.
Right.
It does, acrylic paint is no different than anything else we use. We still have to scuff it to bond to it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's why I was curious.
Like, to recoat an acrylic, you go past the acrylic, even if it's like a water-based, like driveway sealer acrylic, you still have to mechanically abrade that after it's recoat.
So why wouldn't you have to with acrylic paint?
That's interesting. I don't know, I paint pretty fast. My clients want a return to service, so okay. When I use the mixture of, like, because I make my own kind of mix of paints to use out of like concrete coating materials, because that's just what's in my trailer usually. So I'll start with like a clear driveway sealer or something like that, and put pigments into it until I have the colors that I want.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. So you do the same kind of ideas outside, you just do it with sealers instead of epoxies? Mm-hmm. Okay. How does that hold up for durability? Like, they hold
same
up
as any other, like acrylic.
So they have to be maintained constantly?
Spoken like a concrete polisher.
Well, but I mean, the reason why I ask those questions too is because I'm always terrified about how long my work is going to last.
Yeah, that comes down to client, management.
Of course.
Yeah.
No, but that's why I'm
like
asking
the
that.
paint on your house has, UV stability ratings, and it comes down to the quality. So you just find the best thing that you can find, and then manage your client's expectations, and then in 3 to 5 years they call you back to do some touch-ups, and the job is still sound and it's not delaminating or anything. It just needs a little brightening up. You sit there, you have coffee, you brighten it up, tell them to pressure wash it before you show up.
So the pigment that you're adding to your sealer then, like obviously it's like a solvent-based pigment then instead of the acrylic?
No, I'm using water-based acrylics because the solvents are gross.
Oh, water-based sealers.
Mm-hmm.
I see your point.
Yep.
I keep forgetting about that. See, I'm
so
always
the water-based sealers are,
Yeah.
that's a thing.
I know.
You know that they call that?
No.
Like the Mad Hatters? I think a lot of people in our industry have that. The Mad Hatters. They're like, I gotta work, but really it was the hat glue.
No, I don't get it
I gotta work. Gotta go to work.
Well, I like the fact that I can always go back to my work and maintain it. And it's harder to do that with water-based. Like you said, you have to abrade it somehow. Mm-hmm. So I've always used a solvent-based just because I don't have to do that. Mm-hmm. It's much easier to me. Water-based always terrifies me. Not that I haven't done a ton of water-based. Like
I think terrifies is a strong word.
I don't know. I'm always
really it terrifies you.
My biggest issue is when I get a phone call from a client that I've already
mm-hmm.
worked with. I don't care if it's 6 months or 10 years. When I see them call me back, I'm like, oh shit.
Oh yeah, that nerve never goes away. But it's like, oh well, it's been 5 years, probably ready for a little bit of color, and it's not a big deal. You just bring some color in, nice and bright. I think a water-based is much easier to touch up.
Interesting.
I feel like I can manipulate it a lot better. You dilute it with water and get some watercolor effects and that sort of stuff, and you can build it in layers, and you don't have to do a layer over the whole thing. You can just add some and work the translucencies up so that you have like a watercolor painting,
It's funny you say that you add water to the water-based sealer.
Mm-hmm.
What's funny is I was at ASCC and we were...
Did they say not to do that?
Yes.
Oh.
This is a funny story for that reason.
Okay.
Because we were in the middle, we have these round tables where you like small rooms where you get together like the size of this area right here, maybe a little bigger, and we talk about whatever that round table discussion is about. And so one of them was for sealers, and there was 3 of us contractors in there, and there were 3 different manufacturers. Completely different companies. And so we had the opportunity to ask any question about chemistry kind of that they knew that we wanted to. And I was just telling them the story about diluting water-based sealer just like I dilute solvent-based sealer, and all 3 of them were like, you can't do that. And I'm like, excuse me? And they said, no, it changes the chemistry of it. It's made for the ratio of water that's in it.
That's
awesome.
It's
the chemistry of it.
So interesting that you say that, because I do a base coat with just the sealer,
mm-hmm.
and then I do a top coat with just the sealer.
Mm-hmm.
So the artwork where I'm diluting it and messing with like the translucency of my colors that I add to it and that sort of stuff, it's kind of between that. Does that make it better?
I think so, but that's why I brought it up, just because
the water evaporates, That's what I think.
It's not about that.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, it's
bummer.
I know.
Well, but the it's other working though.
But the other reason why it's good to talk about it too is because it's working. Yeah, like you just that was the point. It worked for me too. In fact, I wasn't the only one. But all 3 of us looked at each other and were like, "Do you put water?" We've always done that.
Yeah.
I didn't know you couldn't do that. And
they're like put it through a sprayer.
But to have 3 different manufacturers all 100% go.
Do not do. Do not recommend.
So it's been pretty.
Thumbs down. Do not like.
Crazy. Because I was like, well, I don't understand. You can dilute a solvent base, but you can't dilute a water base. It was just so mind blowing to me that the chemistry is that different that you can't just use more water like you can just use more xylene or acetone or
Yeah.
But you do it anyway, and it works. And I did too for years.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I never had a callback. I never had a problem. I never had a bonding issue. I never had any issues.
All right, I feel like I need to get back in that room and see why. Like, I need to know why.
They told us it was the chemistry. The way the chemistry is designed, it's designed for a certain amount. Whereas a urethane can add more water to it with no problems. And I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. And it's the chemistry. That's all they could say. That's how these things are designed.
Okay.
And I thought that was really interesting. It's okay to dilute a urethane, but it's not okay to dilute acrylic polymer.
That's weird. It says to dilute it on the can.
Or acrylic resin, I guess. It does not say it. It usually says do not dilute, actually.
Oh.
We just don't read the details, not just you. We don't read the details.
I read all the details, okay?
Yeah, whatever.
I wrote those TDS.
You didn't even I caught you off guard when I asked about the light fastness of your acrylic paints. You're like, what are you talking about? I was like, it says right there's a number on it.
No, I don't use acrylic paints. I use the stuff they put into exterior paints from the paint store. I just sweet talk them into putting it into containers for me.
I have a bunch of people that do that just go straight to the raw material.
Yeah.
And I don't, but that is still just acrylic paint. There's nothing really different to it, or you know, whatever the base is to it. It's still just a concentrate. I mean, it's no different than paint because it's just as concentrated. But yeah, that's what I would do too. I mean,
yeah, it's almost like I have my own tinting workshop in the trailer.
Absolutely.
I just make whatever I want right there.
Yeah, that's one of the things why I love the dyes that I use all the time, because I can make whatever color I want to out of that stuff. And
are those solvent-based dyes?
Yeah, but they are solvent-based. And so I'm sniffing acetone the entire time while I'm working with them.
See, for me, like the solvent-based, sniffing acetone.
I sniff a lot of acetone.
Yeah, so that's that Mad Hatter's thing. I gotta work.
I'm not wearing my Mad Hatter hat right now. I should
be. We should both go put on a hat and come back and sit down.
We'll be right back.
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, acetone dye. I make a freaking mess. It gets everywhere.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. It's just too liquidy for me.
Well,
splashing it.
It is a big difference because it's like working with watercolor instead of working with paint. I mean, it is a different. It is a different style, a different everything.
Yeah, it just takes practice. Though,
you know what's funny to that comment though, is I can't use watercolor on like a canvas or on a piece of paper. I'll make a mess, but I have no problem doing it on a floor.
Just takes practice.
Yeah, yeah, because I've never done it before. But yeah, I can't.
You've never painted a picture?
I hate watercolor. I mean, I've never liked it in all my years of education and all the classes I took. I was like,
I love it. It's like the idea of controlling the water. I tell my students that, like, you're not painting with paint, you're painting with water.
Right.
The paint's just along for the
ride.
It
just bleeds all over the place when I do it.
So it's perfect. I mean, because you can control where the water goes.
Yeah, I don't know. And then my paper always gets all rippled and warped because I use too much water, and then
you have to prep the paper first. So you take a watercolor piece of paper and put it on like a firm, like masonite or something, and you get it completely soaking all wet, and then you like flatten it and tape it.
Do you tape it, or do you wrap it around and tape it underneath, or?
No, you just tape it flat.
Tape it flat.
Yeah. That way when your artwork goes on, it doesn't wrinkle it up like that.
Yeah, I'm not going to go back to watercolor.
Because the fibers of the paper, I mean, they're expanding and contracting, so.
Yeah, I know. That's why I like taking people on tours of like art museums, because that's the stuff I'm showing them.
Oh,
like,
cool.
Welcome to what happens in the painting world on canvas, and look at the deterioration, and look at this painting that's falling apart, and you have no idea what they're doing behind the scenes to save these things. And you know, we're worried about our products, our jobs lasting 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, these things are lasting hundreds of years, and this is what it takes to maintain them, and you know, things like that. Well,
there's a lot of people out there who like aren't really paying that much attention to the prep work. They want to get to the fun part and do like splash it on and get paid and then move on. But man, we spend so much time on prep work.
See, that's the funny thing, because it's the same thing in the art world. And that's the same reason why a lot of paintings fall apart, is like the Mona Lisa, it rotted from the inside out because he didn't prep properly. He didn't prime it properly. He rushed it. And so it literally, the oil, because the inside of the painting is all oil, it never dries.
Never dries.
And like to the same point too, I grind, like when I'm doing a training class with polyaspartic, I'll go back to grind last time, and I still smell the solvents evaporating out that are still stuck underneath
while you're
there.
grinding it?
While I'm grinding it, it comes all back out and makes my allergies go crazy. And So there's really no difference to that. It never dries. It just skins over and creates that hardness on top. But deep underneath, that solvent will always be there. And that's what I learned about in painting before I ever even did this industry. And so, you know, what happens is back then they used like the rabbit skin glue to try to prime, which is still an oil-based primer too. And so it eventually started to bleed through the back side of that painting, and they had to lift it off that canvas and put it on a new canvas and everything. The Mona Lisa's been like 80% repainted. No one really understands that. It's not even on its original canvas now.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Imagine taking a painting off a canvas. It's like got like just. Oh, I bet it stank to high heaven.
I doubt it, but I don't know. I mean, it was more like a water system lift and replace.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I forget how they did it.
I'm just thinking about like zillion-year-old oil paint that never dried. Blech.
Yeah, it still would just smell like turpentine or just
Really?
basic oil. It wouldn't smell that bad.
I've got music on in my ear right here. It's nice and relaxing.
You've been listening to music the whole time we've been talking?
Yes. I can't really complete a thought or a sentence without it. If I'm like speaking in fragmented sentences, it's probably because I don't have music on.
So I kind of agree with you on that part, but so, okay. If you're doing a presentation in front of a live audience, would you rather have the music playing in the background while you're talking to them, or is that too much distraction?
It depends on if I'm in control of the music or not. It's
Well, of course
probably
you would
better
be.
if it's just in my ear
That's
like
what I
this.
mean.
Yeah. I would leave it on.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I would start to get into the music while I'm in the middle of a conversation telling somebody something.
Yeah. If I don't have music, I just walk in circles picking things up and putting them down again. So.
Yeah, I drive my wife crazy because I always want to play music in the background and she wants to hear the birds, and I'm like, I can do both, but I have to have sound. I sleep to music and everything. I have to have music all the time.
Yeah,
I used
I'm listening
to paint based
to a
on
ballad
music.
version of Billie Jean.
A ballad version of Billie Jean?
Yeah.
Okay. That would be a funny one.
It's like this coffee house covers. It's got a lot of like the Lumineers on it.
Not my girl. Joel doing Billie Jean.
Billy Joel doing Billie Jean.
Nah, that would be a piano.
There's a guy in Vero Beach, Florida that sounds just like Billy Joel. Like,
that's cool.
Yeah, he's.
I actually, I have a friend of mine from Nashville that I met years ago that lives in Key West now, because he figured out that he can make more money playing music in Key West than in Nashville, even though Nashville is the center of the music world.
Yeah.
And he's there to make music, and he was recording and everything. He figured out that it was better to go to Key West and say I'm from Nashville. And he had a guitar that had like all this mosaic tile to it, and had a spot for a beer to be held and a spot for a shot. So it was like a, like a Margaritaville kind of style anyway. And he never put 14 years living in Nashville before he figured it out.
Yeah.
And now he lives in Key West for 6 months, and then goes back up to where he's from in like Wisconsin or something to see family the other 6 months of the year, and stops in Nashville for a couple weeks to a month each direction and records, and created this whole different lifestyle.
Oh, that sounds
It took him 14 years to figure that out.
Well, now we know.
Yeah, I know. You never know. I mean, it's weird how that kind of stuff happens.
I live in Florida. I've never made it down to Key West.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, there's just so many delight. Key West is like a city destination, but when I go to the Keys, I drag my little boat down there and just disappear the best I can.
You don't. But how do you you mean you drag it down on a trailer?
Yeah.
And then get
I'm
closer?
only about 3 hours, and I can get over
You're that
bridge.
far down in Florida. I didn't realize you're that far down. And are you on the Bay side or the Atlantic side?
At the Atlantic side.
The Atlantic side?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know the geography of Florida, and that the East Coast has this island going up and down nearly the entire coast. There's a saltwater river and then the ocean.
That saltwater river, is that considered brackish at that point, or still just saltwater?
I think it's considered brackish. I'd have to double check.
Because we had that in Savannah, because it's a delta.
The inlets, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And the marine life is really interesting through there.
It is, because you get a little bit of both. Like, I even saw dolphins in there.
Mm-hmm. Manatee,
Yeah,
all the things.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got this sawfish, which is a really interesting character. A bunch of bunch of sharks, and it's just peppered with hundreds of islands inside that river. You can just go out to an island on your paddleboard or your boat or whatever and set up camp and just stay there. You don't even have to tell anybody.
So you're a big camper.
Yeah.
And you said that your kids like to go camping with you too.
For sure. Yeah, by the time my kids were like 6 and 7 years old, they're making a fire for a northeast wind.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love camping too. My kids have gone a couple times. My daughter thought it was going to be the coolest thing in the world until she kept getting bit by bugs. And then she's like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore.
Oh, we did one night where I just stayed up all night spraying the kids with bug spray so they could get some rest. Like, it was bad, but we would have gone home because it literally takes me maybe half an hour to get home with going to the boat, loading up the boat on the trailer, and then getting home.
Yeah. What kind of boat do you take?
I made my own boat.
Yeah,
a bunch of kind of, yeah. No, I used a siloxane on it because it's flexible.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's a fiberglass hull. I traded the shape of it for a countertop overlay, like a million years ago. And I've redone that boat. I flip it over and do the bottom. I flip it over and do the top. I've refiberglassed and reconfigured the whole thing. I've changed the transom, the part that the motor goes on. And, I don't think I ever want a big boat. I like that little river skipper. It's a great excuse to not have to take anybody with me.
I live, my road dead ends into our lake, our reservoir. So I live 10-minute drop into the water. And I have a nice roundabout, nothing special, but a perfect boat to go out fishing and skiing and stuff like that. I love lake life more than ocean life because of your point, sharks and all the kind of other stuff that happens in the brackish waters. It's awesome to be in there, but you really still have to watch what you're doing. In lake water,
it's easy to get complacent out there on a boat and feel like everything's fine.
Right, whereas in the lake it always is. You just have nothing to worry about, and you can just float all you want to. And I've been in, I was in Savannah on the river like that, and we jumped in and we're swimming for a little bit, and the people were like, "Okay, you can get out now." And I'm like, not even occurring to me that what could be around me. It just didn't even. I was just thinking I was in a lake. It was just went right over my head that I had to get the hell out of there. I can't just hang out as long as I feel like it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's definitely we call it like snack time, where the sun is going down and everything is like grabbing what they can while they can still see.
Yeah, that's a bad time to be hanging out.
Yep, you keep your little dogs away from the water.
Yes.
So, fun story about the geese, right? So I've never seen a goose before. And we get here and everybody's saying don't get close because they'll like attack you.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh. Well, so is there like goose wrestling competitions or something?"
No, I don't really see too many people that are dumb enough to try to wrestle them.
Yeah.
They're vicious.
So being from Florida, that's a Florida question because it's like, well, there's gator wrestling competitions, so it just made sense to me that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to handle that one. Especially when they had their little babies with them. I mean, they would be like.
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna mess with the goose, but then I saw it had babies, and I was like, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what animals with babies are like.
Now, is it actually just a geese or a goose? I thought they were two different animals.
Are you saying that geese and goose are two different animals?
Yes, a geese is a geese, like even plural, it's still geese. Where a goose is...
Geese.
Yes.
I've never seen a goose or a geese.
Because I thought a goose was white.
No, I think they're
geese...
both the same thing. That's a swan.
No, that's
Swans
still another
are white.
one. That's a bigger version. Swans are bigger.
Huh. I don't know anything about these elegant
We're going to
birds.
research this and we'll get back to you guys on that one.
Never seen or heard of these elegant birds. They're so pretty.
I'm going to feel like an idiot. Everybody's like, you idiot, they're all goose. It doesn't matter.
I feel like they're all goose, but I don't know anything about geese.
Where's my brainiac wife when I need her?
I think she's around the corner there. She's hiding.
Oh, did she peek
She's
out?
hiding because you have a camera on.
Yes. Did you notice that last night? She never took a picture.
We'll get her. By the end of the weekend, she'll be fine.
All right, so where were we?
Oh, so it turns out Rick didn't know this about me.
Wow. Okay, so I heard you just talking right now about diving in the water.
Well, you knew I was a diver.
Sort of.
Because of that story about how I punched a shark in the face a couple summers ago.
Right, but it's one thing to go diving, it's another thing to do what you just described to me.
Oh, okay. So I originally started diving with an underwater paranormal exploration team.
Stop.
One more time.
An underwater paranormal exploration team. We were...
Underwater paranormal.
Ghosts don't need to breathe.
UPE?
Turns out nobody else has done this, really. So...
Yeah. Did you ever find a ghost?
Uh-huh.
No.
Well, I mean, I don't know. My job was to run the equipment underwater, but we were working for this ghost hunting company that's been doing it for like 3 decades. And they've got all these great findings in like insane asylums in Ireland or like prisons in Russia and stuff.
Okay, look.
So we were doing a side job. We were doing a side job at their house, making this like super cute hobbit garden thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we were sitting in the hot tub, smoking a hookah with the clients, like you do. And
right.
And my dad says, "You ever tried ghost hunting underwater? Ghosts don't need to breathe, right?" And so they pressure proofed and waterproofed all their equipment and got a boat and got my dad and I certified for diving because they weren't physically able to do it. And then we went ghost hunting underwater at shipwrecks where there's been known fatalities. So we did the research and, you know. So as far as I'm concerned, like I'm a very physics-minded person, right? I like to think of myself as, you know, obstinately practical. I'm not as practical as you, but...
Whoa, hold on. What's that supposed to mean?
Oh, I don't know. Let's ask Nicole what that means. You're much more practical than me. I have all these ideas and you're like, whoa, hold on, Crystal.
Yes.
Yes.
I think we've accomplished that through most of this interview.
Whoa.
I'm already saying whoa about this ghost diving extravaganza.
I mean, the way I figure it is that there's equipment out there that can collect data that my given biological senses cannot perceive, and they collect the data and then turn it into something that we can see or hear and that sort of stuff. And the way that it worked was we would have different types of machine that would all of their results would line up with stuff that I couldn't see or hear or feel. And what is a ghost anyways? Like exactly that, right? It's like all the things that you can't perceive with your body solidified with mechanical technology.
Did they find anything?
Oh, yeah.
I struggle to believe this.
There's orbs. I don't know if you know anything about that. I don't know much about it. Like I was just running equipment and they gave me a slate that said, "Is anybody there?" And I was supposed to think it in my head, but I was focusing on not dying.
Were you listening to music at the same time too?
No, that's kind of the struggle for me because there's no music underwater. And that's hard, but I do it because it's hard. And it's like something I do for myself, like stuff that's uncomfortable. Like it's not comfortable to dive most of the time, but it's the only time in your entire existence that you're like completely alone and you have to confront who you are. And there's no running away from it. You can't pick up your phone and be distracted. You can't even talk to the person next to you. You're just like stuck inside your own head with no way out. And I find that being in situations that give me that like, I don't know, uncomfortable feeling. That's where new and original thoughts come from. So instead of waiting for the accident of inspiration to happen, you go and chase it down, rather.
So...
I punch it in the face!
You know, sometimes it's even hard to figure out exactly how to ask a question to you when you tell me these extremely insane stories. So they think that they found ghosts underwater.
They had...
Was this a TV show?
It was going to be, I think, but I wasn't really involved in that aspect.
Did they? But you never saw on TV underwater ghost hunting?
Oh no! But I think there was some traction there I heard people talking about it.
Did they have ghost tours now, where they take groups of people down there to show them where
Groups
ghosts...
of certified divers down 90 feet to
Why not?
shipwrecks.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to a theme park?
Yeah, they do all these crazy things all the time. That's why I'm asking.
Oh my God. Yeah, no.
I mean, I lived in Savannah, Georgia. We did ghost tours all the time.
Do not
What's the
recommend.
difference?
Well, I mean, there's just like a high probability of death.
Well, there's always that. I mean, it's ghost hunting. It's about death.
Is there? Is there?
It's always about
Is there
that.
really?
Well,
It's the same doing it 90 feet underwater.
well, when we lived,
As the bus where they give you Jello shots. You don't even have to drive.
well, when I lived in Savannah, I lived in an apartment in the downtown that was like an old. Was it an apartment building from day one? I'm trying to remember. I
It
think
was
so.
a hotel. I
My-
forget.
It had a pool and everything, and the pool was completely closed off, blocked off, empty. You couldn't go in there because there was so many deaths in that pool, and so that building was part of the ghost tour. And I
where?
lived there for 2.5 years in Savannah, Georgia.
Okay.
And that's why I'm asking these crazy questions, because there was 3 people that died in 2.5 years I lived there. One of them hung himself. One of them blew his wife's brains out by accident.
Oops.
The other one was they all were suicides in some way or another. I think he committed suicide after that too.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, like I have crazy stories that if ghosts do exist, they tortured these people or they just fit into the story of that building because of all the deaths that happened in there. I don't know how many of the drownings were suicides or anything, but there was a ton of death in this building.
Huge placebo effect. And did you say you were in school?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Well, I lived there. Well, no, I was done after grad school. I moved. Yeah, but yeah.
I'd like to
What's
see.
that got to do
I'd
with
like
anything?
to. I'd like to see the stats of similar groups of people in other places.
You mean like the suicides were because of school?
Is that a thing?
No.
Like, is there? Okay.
No. Maybe one of the kids,
It
but the
sounds
other
terrible.
2 were completely just random.
We can't be in this like English paradise talking about suicide, Rick.
How much more of a ghost
you're ruining
hunting
my coffee.
conversation do we have when we're in this old house on an old
Just
hillside
kidding. I don't.
talking about
This is why
underwater
I don't
ghosts?
feel-
I don't think there's
everywhere.
ghosts here. I would know. I feel like.
But you think there's ghosts underwater?
Oh yeah, for sure. Ghosts don't need to breathe.
I don't think they get stuck underwater.
That's really close-minded of you. You don't get to decide that, Rick.
I don't understand how they get to decide that.
Well, they don't decide anything, do they?
I don't know, do they?
I don't know.
There's a famous ghost ship that shows up every 50 years since
Ooh.
it went down due to storms, and people see it on its anniversary.
What? Where?
I'd have to look it up. I've read this in 2 different sources.
Yes. I need to know the name of this ship.
More
I'm going to
blasphemy.
name my tiny little boat that. My boat name is, it's named something inappropriate.
The Lady Lovabond.
That's a good name.
It is.
So your boat now is called Lady Lovabond.
No.
Exclusive, right here. Her new boat name is Lady Lovabond.
I don't know. I think something inappropriate is cute because when they call it over the radio, they're like meeting up with something inappropriate.
So it's
Or I'll
literally just
be-
something inappropriate.
Yeah,
is what
that's
it's
the
called.
name of it.
There's not a name that you were not
No.
willing to say. It literally
No,
is
that's
something.
the actual name of
This
it.
is like a
something
who's on first
Like
thing.
I'm
Well,
gonna go.
Okay, well, what's inappropriate about it? Like,
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go for a ride on something inappropriate. Just floating around on something inappropriate. You need a sea tow. They're like, it's the name of your boat.
I still
I
can't get
tickle
over
myself
the
pink.
underwater extravaganza of your life.
Yes, underwater extravaganza.
If you had a choice, would you live underwater for the rest of your life, or you like being above water?
I like the contrast.
You like the contrast.
The contrast is delightful. Being alive and not.
No, I'm asking like if you
not-
had gills, not if you were a
Oh,
ghost.
okay, yeah.
I'm saying if you were, if you would you rather be a mermaid or would you rather live up here with us?
Would you come
I
visit?
don't know. I feel like normal is. Yeah. Would you come visit, Rick?
I don't know how complicated that is.
I bet I could make a lot of money if I was a mermaid.
I'm sure you could.
Yeah. That's too big of a question because now I'm thinking about like
It's too big of a question.
it's too big. Like it would just be different.
I know. Okay.
Well, I can't work with concrete if I was a mermaid.
Obviously, you would have to work with some other things in the sand.
I'd make like
rocks.
seashell.
You would
Bras and stuff.
magically get coral to grow faster to make structures for you.
Yeah. I've always had a hard time with questions like this. Like, what would you do if you had all the money in the world? Like, my brain just won't go there because it's so impractical.
Same
And
thing
I
I'm
just
doing
can't.
today.
It's why I can't play that damn game. Like, my brain just won't do it. I'm like, what?
You still did better than Jeremy. He was like, "What's going on?"
No, I didn't do anything, and everybody
You
thought I
never
did.
did.
I
No,
just
was
played it
watching.
off.
I was watching.
I'd be like,
We're referring to Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza right now.
yeah, that was cute. It was cute to watch everybody play.
Last time we tried to play, she walked up and then she was like, and just walked away. That's as far as she got. When I started dealing, she's like, not happening.
Oh, I can't help it. I don't know, my brain doesn't do things that I feel are impractical. Like, for instance, I don't go fishing, like, ever.
No, you just swim with the fish.
Well, fishing is like
When you swim with the fish, do you touch the fish ever?
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay, well, that's fishing.
Yeah. Well, also, I shoot it in its face while it's sleeping.
Well, that's fishing.
Yeah. But I can't do, like, conventional fishing where you, like, throw the hook in the water and then hope there's fish there and hope they like your hook or whatever. And then, like, it just feels like gambling to me. And I don't gamble.
Well...
I'm like, oh, that's stupid.
Well, all right, but here's the point to that, though. Let's look at that a different way. Right now, we are sitting on the edge of a beautiful little lake. We could be out there right now on a boat and enjoying this beautiful sound while you have your little headset in, having your little bit of music and listening to the birds at the same time. It's paradise to sit out there. It doesn't matter if you catch a fish. It's the fact that you're just out there just going,
I can go out there and
my
do
phone
that
doesn't
without...
ring,
Yeah, but then, if you're all in this relaxed position and then you catch a fish, now you got a bunch of chores.
Then it's fun. Then it gets exciting.
Is that your I got a fish sound check? Does he do that?
No.
So I like going fishing, and
You just don't like catching the fish.
No, everybody else fishing, but I don't fish.
You just row the boat.
Yeah. Yeah, navigate and be a deckhand. Like, I'm great when the fish comes up. I'll stab it in its eye or whatever, and like I'm
It's all about their
hands
eyes.
on.
It's the second time you've brought up their eyes.
I just feel because when I catch a fish and I'm
Like you don't want it to
diving,
look at you anymore?
No, when I catch a fish and I'm diving, I stab it in its left eye and then shoot it to the surface, and the boat knows whose cooler to put it in because it says left eye on my cooler. That's why I say that.
Oh, is that where it comes from? Is that a reference to what's the band?
I was just gonna say Left Eye and
Was that Salt and Pepper?
Yes.
You don't go down waterfalls, wherever that song is?
Oh, no, I think I would be afraid to go down a waterfall.
You don't want to
I
go to
come
Niagara
from-
Falls and get into a barrel
I
and go
come
down
from flatlands.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got delicate knees.
That's all you care about is your knees.
I don't think I'd fare
My
well.
arm's going to be fine, but I'm going to go off. If I go off there, my knees will be bad. But yeah.
Well, I go whitewater rafting whenever I travel, and I have an extra day, and I can. So I've always been really adventurous.
Here, but
Yeah, but the if you come off the boat, you gotta like tuck all your limbs because there's like boulders and all kinds of garbage down there. So
And you're stuck.
broken limbs, yes.
Hmm.
Stay in.
Okay, then. So we've gone from painting a boat to painting between water-based sealers, painting between epoxy, to underwater swimming or diving, to now ghost hunting underwater. This is a very normal conversation.
We've met. I think we bring out the best in each other.
Well, awesome. Well, I will let you enjoy the rest of your morning and stop pestering you with the camera.
Oh, thanks, Rick.
Appreciate you taking the time. And
We'll have to come back on and do like a segment with whiskey instead of coffee later.
that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
I thought about that last night with everybody here, but then
Yeah.
I was like, then I'll distract everything by constantly trying to
Yeah.
ask questions and
Well,
stuff.
I mean, if you took people off one at a time and did like
But
a
then
10-minute
I would never get
thing,
to enjoy the party myself.
well, that would be enjoying the party for you.
And my thing is, I don't want to take 10 minutes. I wanted, like we just did,
Like
I
it'd
want
just
to
be like an organic conversation.
yeah, to get to know you even more. Because
Yeah.
I learned a whole bunch of stuff about the difference between a goose and a geese.
I didn't learn anything about that. Where were you?
All right. Well, thank you very much. It's great to see you again.
Good to see you too.
Always a good time. We've known each other for what, 3 or 4 years now?
Oh, I don't have a great concept of time.
I don't know. It's just been a fun ride because we just get together now.
Yeah,
It always
it's
cracks
good.
me up every time you contact me. And I think the one time you're like, well, wherever Rick's at, the party's going on. I don't know.
Yeah,
So here we are at a party.
yeah. This place is amazing.
I try.
Thanks to Surf Coat.
Yes. Brought to you by Surf Coat.
Brought to you by Surf Coat.
Bye, everybody. I want to thank Surfcoat for sponsoring the show. Go to surfcoat.com and check out all their great products. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thank you for listening and have a great day.